I've heard, I mean, sometimes on your height of your dealing career, you went out with $150,000 of jewelry on you and like a $50,000 watch and in your Gemballa Porsche driving around in strip clubs to strip clubs with cash.
I mean, I used to give out $10,000 to $15,000 every night.
Wow.
No.
And you didn't bring your bodyguards. You just you didn't bring them along.
I used to escape. I look back now and I look at it. If you read the blog where I wrote, I'm a 21-year-old multimillionaire and I want to die. Yeah. I wrote that blog, and I finally realized it not too long ago that I did a lot of things because I guess I wanted to die, and
wow,
I would never commit suicide. To me, yeah. I'm not wired that way.
Yeah.
But I felt like, hey, my life has no meaning.
Wow.
So I in between bodyguard shifts, I would escape, and then I get on my Gemballa, and I go to clubs. And in Miami, where they kill you for $1,000,
yeah.
I would drive out to the strip club. Everybody knew who I was, you know. Everybody knew that I had $200,000 of jewelry on.
And what happens when you drop $2,000 cash at that strip club? I mean, then the stripper just goes with you, or
oh, $2,000 was. I mean, I don't think there was a night that we didn't drop at least $5,000. You know, I'm putting $100. I'm putting $100 in their garter belt every song.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even have strip clubs in Sweden. I was like shocked when I saw a strip club in US.
Yeah, and honestly, it's horrific, man, because it's so degrading to those women.
It is.
It's the funny thing. I could have had sex with any of them.
Yeah.
And this club called the Follies, where I used to go, had the most beautiful women. Everyone on a scale 1 to 10 was a 20. I never had sex with any of them, ever.
Wow.
And but you know, and it's part of my life that as I see now, 3 daughters that I adore and a wife that I worship.
It's not
like those girls are somebody's daughter.
Yeah, that's really.
You know? And I was treating them just like a piece of, you know, like my gig was to have them all come to my tables and dance. And if you were in the club and you want to dance, you had to pay me to let her go.
And those supermodels, those you found on nightclubs, or you found them everywhere, or what was a typical
day? A lot of them in California. A lot of them in California, because when the word got out that I was like the king of cocaine, I mean, it was an era, right? The 70s, sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah. Wow.
You know.
And were you around in Europe during the mid 80s? And you picked up the Mercedes there.
I used to go to Europe at least once a month.
Yeah. Wow. Once a month.
Here's an interesting story. I had a girlfriend. I didn't even call her my girlfriend. I didn't even find this. I did not put this 2 and 2 together, Gustav, till years later, editing my book.
Yeah.
And here's the story. So this girl was Miss Spain. By one of the most beautiful girls that I ever met, from Malaga.
Miss Spain.
Okay? She was second at Miss World. Okay.
That's crazy.
And she went to Colombia as part of the tour, and she got raped. And got pregnant. And she would not abort the kid and went back to Spain. They took her crown and all that. And I met her. I baptized her son. I paid for his college. I bought him a house.
Wow.
And I traveled all over Europe with her, literally sleeping in the same bed. She would change clothes, go to a shower naked, and I never, ever even freaking looked at her in a lascivious way or even touched her. And then years later, I said to myself, man, she was probably the most beautiful girl you ever met, you ever had. You had sex with other ones that were just not that as good as that. Why not her? She would have gone for it.
Yeah.
But what I realized is, in my eyes, when I came from Cuba, and girls used to laugh at me because they thought I was dirty because we were poor. And they would say, hey, George, are you going to a party Saturday? And I would say, oh, what party? Oh, I'm sorry. We don't invite people like you to our parties.
Wow.
So years later, the reason I treated women the way I did was, in my mind, I was just getting even.
Yeah, to the mean girls from high school, kind of. Yeah.
I didn't treat Irene that way because in my mind, she was a victim like me. So my job was not to abuse her like every other girl. I mean, I never abused anyone physically, but to me, abuse is like, hey, I have sex with you now, get the hell out. Here's $2,000, leave.
Yeah.
And because to me, she was a victim and my job was to protect her. All this in a psychological plane.
Yeah, Miss Spain. She must be quite happy today for you, basically, that you helped her back in the 80s. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I lost contact with her. She was just amazing, amazing lady. I mean, she was gorgeous. I
Pretty,
felt so bad for her.
yeah, pretty good level. Maybe that's why you went to Europe every month. Check off every country's Miss Country.
Yeah, I went and I stayed at the best hotels, you know, all over London. Mostly I went to Paris, London, Spain, Germany. Then I went to Switzerland only to go to Switzerland to do business.
Yeah.
Some of our foreign bank accounts were in Switzerland, but I didn't stay there long because I felt like I don't need to be seen in Switzerland. I need to come in and out.
Yeah, exactly. And not Sweden either. Like everybody is like mixes up Switzerland, Sweden, but and wow, what a crazy. But it feels like you kind of really learned. You learned so many lessons during this life. I mean, that many never will be close to learn. This life travel you have done.
Yeah, and that's why I do what I do now. I'm 64.
Yeah.
I was retired for 3 years without doing nothing. I didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I didn't want to come out. I didn't want people to know me.
Yeah,
I just wanted people to call me Dr. Valdes, you know, a guy with a PhD, college professor.
Yeah.
And until my wife is like, listen, there's just so much you can give to the world, and it's selfish of you not to. So,
yeah, because I mean, when you tell the world, I mean, you had the private jets, you had the helicopters, you had the Gemballa Porsches, the Lamborghini Countach, you had Corvettes in every color, and you kind of can tell people, maybe like me also, that I mean, once you reach there, maybe it's nothing to reach. I mean, the real value is, as you put it, I mean, to be able to meet your daughter at school, make breakfast for your children, and spend time with your children, and also maybe your parents while they're alive.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm going to tell you, when I built my company from scratch, we built it into a multi-million-dollar company. And when I was at the height of it, we had a 90-foot yacht, we had private jets.
Yeah.
I quit. I walked away from the company and moved my family to Mexico because I wanted my last 2 little kids to know me, because all my 6 kids love me, but they don't know me. The oldest ones, I was in prison most of their life, you know, at that time. And I had 2 left, and I went to make breakfast for them.
Yeah.
And so I just dropped off my baby girl at college.
Yeah.
Isabella. And just turned 18. And it's the most difficult thing I've ever been through in my life. But I realized one thing, and I was telling this to my wife. I said, you know how I can make it every day without her, and knowing that, you know, she's going to be fine, because number one, I invested in her life. And number 2, the worst thing in this world, Gustav, to live with, asking yourself, what if?
Yeah.
What if I had walked away?
Yeah.
What if I had spent more time with my children? What if I had spent more time with my parents? I went to see my parents every day when people were out there looking to kill me. My bodyguard used to say, we spend thousands to protect you, and everybody knows you're going to be having dinner at your mom's house every day you're in Miami. But I love my parents that much.
Yeah.
And my kids. So now when I look at my kids, I don't have to ask myself, what if I spend more time with them?
No, because you really spent a lot of time. I myself also have spent a lot of time with my one. Only have one daughter, but who knows? Maybe it come more at some point. But what is interesting that they really remember. I mean, from 2-3 years old age, they really remember that you came early to kindergarten. That you stayed in the morning to kindergarten. No other parent would stay and be with the daughter when the gathering at kindergarten, except me, and they still remember that. I mean, when they're 12 years old, they can remember back from 3 years age. It's amazing.
They're not going to remember the planes, the yachts, the houses.
No,
they're going to remember the time you invested in their lives. You know,
exactly.
And I see it now. I see my kids. Things happen. They're older now. They got kids. I got 5 grandkids.
Yeah.
And every once in a while they'll say, like, remember Dad when you used to do that with us, or remember Dad. Or they'll tell a story. Yeah, when we go with Dad to Disney, and he loves the cinnamon roll, and he puts it on top of a garbage can, and if someone wants to get it, he stabs him with a fork. So they remember all those stories, right?
Yeah. Like not. I mean, you had some kids when you had the helicopters and yachts and cars, but they don't remember the helicopter rides. Maybe they remember when you were present with them at the breakfast or whatever. Yeah.
My oldest son was the best example. When I got out of prison, he was 6 months old when I went in. He was almost 7 years old when I came out.
Wow.
And I got on my jet and I put a briefcase with $200,000 and I flew to New York to FAO Schwartz. I was going to buy
the kids,
whatever he wanted. Actually, I wanted him to buy those Jeeps and those little Corvette cars. Buy 10 of them. I don't care.
Yeah.
And if we run out of money, we'll send him for more money.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't buy nothing. I was getting mad. And he ended up buying a little Mike Tyson Nintendo. Right? And I felt like my son was a loser.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't he want this thing? Years later, my son said to me, you know, Dad, what it was? You wanted to buy me all this stuff, but really all I wanted was something that was free, your time. And you couldn't give it to me.
Exactly. It all comes down to time.
Have your priorities straight. Well, you don't need 2 houses, 2 cars. You don't need all that stuff.
No.
The happiest moments I lived was the second time when I went to prison.
Yeah.
And I realized I was created for something much greater than just to live and die. And my life had meaning and I didn't have nothing. And listen, unless you go from the life I lived to zero, you have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm happy, man. I'm joyful and I get to make a different people's life. I get to meet you and
It's, I mean, somebody said it's not about the goal. You shouldn't look at that Bell Jet Ranger or private jet. You should look at the process on the way to the goal, that you should have fun along the goal. It's kind of,
Well, and money means nothing. Money has no value except the one you give it.
Exactly.
So I coach some high net worth people.
Yeah.
I only coach 6. I have 3 clients now. And these are very, very wealthy people.
Yeah.
They have problems just like you and I.
Yeah.
In a larger scale.
Yeah.
So when I tell people, what does more money do? Buy you more stuff. That's all it does. It doesn't buy you a better family. It doesn't buy you better relationships. No. It doesn't buy you respect. Doesn't buy you meaning. Doesn't buy you love.
And somebody said the more stuff you have, the more problems also. I mean,
I did an event in New York and it was billionaires. Yeah. And I'm like, at the end, I ended up by this saying, how much F-zeros do you all need?
Yeah. And when you were there, when you jumped off your drug dealing, you were on your farm, you had this Tardy Impressive. I saw a promotional video from the 1980s of Tardy Impressive, your horse there.
The number 1 horse in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, what did you want to there? You had your private jets, you had your helicopter, you had your 1 million in cars. What was because then you were in the wheel. What was the next thing you wanted? Did you want a jet with a longer range or
No, that's the thing was, there was nothing else I could get. Okay. I could buy more houses, but it didn't matter. I could buy another jet or bigger, but it didn't matter. What I had the best of the best that was available at that time.
And you had a flat in Trump Tower also?
Yeah, we rented an apartment at the beginning when they first got built. So, you know, and all under different fake names, right?
Yeah.
None of that buys you. I'm the happiest man on earth right now. And, you know, and I live a good life. Don't get me wrong. I still drive a Rolls. You know, it's not a brand new one, but I drive a really nice Ghost. But compared to the life I lived, I'm a pauper.
It's nothing. Yeah. And your new business or that you sold, that was with cleaning or
Yeah, we did large catastrophic work. Okay. So we did jobs in Grand Cayman, all over the United States. A large fire or a hurricane damage, like in Louisiana, we had the state of Louisiana was our customer. We did, I don't know, 300 buildings during the hurricane. Wow. So we did a very, very luxurious hotel in Grand Cayman. We were part of the cleanup of the Pentagon after the 9/11 attack.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
So,
like in all like drug smuggler stories, you heard like people bearing millions of dollars of cash in PVC pipes and dinging it down. I mean, can't you dig up somewhere and find some?
Well, here's the funny thing. The first time it was dug up and they couldn't find it. Because remember, I started all the money laundering in the world. I started it in the 70s. That's how I started in the cartel.
Yeah.
Opening bank accounts.
Yeah.
Because I worked for the Federal Reserve Bank when I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
So, but the second time, those 4 years that I walked away, I made everything legal.
Yeah.
I made everything that I had that was illegal.
Ah.
I made it all legal.
So you
that
didn't,
way I could, yeah, I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes.
Yeah.
You know, everything was in my name now. It wasn't
Yeah.
in foreign names, you know, hidden names. So that's why it was easy for them to get it.
yeah, oh yeah, they had all records, and you didn't have to dig down anything. Exactly. So do you remember like what your garage was at the exact date you jumped into prison the second time, the cars in the garage back then? Because
I had one of the Gemballas.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe the black one.
Yeah.
I had 2 customized trucks.
Yeah.
With DVD players and everything, all custom made.
Yeah.
To go to the horse shows. And I had a super fancy Suburban, cost me $150,000. That it was all custom, all like
150,000 in the 90s. That's crazy.
Yeah. So.
Wow. And what's what's your best memory with cars? And you had some story with your Gemballa when you went out to Florida Keys or something.
Yeah. When I got the Mirage.
Yeah.
So if you've been to Florida, it's one big road with water on both sides, right?
Yeah.
So I went to Key West. I was coming back from Key West, and then I'm like, shit, I'm gonna floor this thing. I think I had it like 180, 190 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And I saw a cop on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And I'm like, see ya. I went like that. And I saw him turn the lights, and I lost him like quickly.
Yeah.
And I went like 100. I went like, I don't know, 50 miles.
Yeah.
I know you can beat the radio. You know, they're gonna get you sooner. They're gonna on the radio, someone will be waiting for you, unless you decide to go in a submarine off the ocean. So I pulled off to a gas station and went and got me a soda, and I waited for him like for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he came and I'm like, listen, man, I'm sorry. Just give me the ticket. I'm sorry. I'm sure you couldn't even clock me as fast as I was going.
Yeah.
But I just got it. I had to try it out. And he's like, oh, I don't want to give you a ticket. I just want to see what's underneath that hood. And of course, the Gemballa was in the trunk, right?
Yeah.
It was in the trunk.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what it was. And
well, and you never bribed any police officer when you were speeding or anything, or could they be bribed?
Oh, man. Listen, I used to go from Miami, my house in Miami to my ranch was 90 miles.
Yeah.
And there was a little town called Belle Glade.
Yeah.
And every Friday, this cop would be waiting for me.
Oh, that's bad.
And I knew where he was. And when I saw him, I hit that thing at 140.
Yeah.
So he must have given me 20 tickets.
Yeah.
I don't know why he never figured out that I didn't give a shit, that I had the sheriff paid off. You know? The minute he gave me that ticket, I don't know why he didn't figure out that I would never go to court.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they'd give me that. I'd be there and waiting for him. I'd say, hey, I'll see you next Friday.
So your lawyers took care of the tickets, but they couldn't bribe the police officers.
Oh, we had the sheriff, the head of the police. We had him
on
our payroll.
Oh, you bought off the sheriff? Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
We were landing airplanes with his protection.
Oh yeah. Now I remember that it was what's his name, and that's he got like 15 years in prison or so.
Yeah. Yeah. Now he testified against Alan Willie.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have contact with him, or maybe he's? No. It's good just to leave that life behind, I guess.
Yeah, you're either pregnant or you're not pregnant. You know?
Exactly. That's the decision you made.
People, you want to change your life? First thing you do, change your environment.
Yeah, left everything. Yeah.
Just walk away, move somewhere.
Yeah.
Because if not, you're going to be dragged into the same circle.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I have. I mean, I could sit here for 48 hours more, listen to stories about jets and cars and lessons of life. Exactly. So I guess I need to thank you a lot for your time. It's been really wonderful, and people will appreciate this.
How many people do you know that own Gemballas?
Zero, actually. When I got to learn, some Saudi prince from Jeddah and people all over the world. through my sites earlier and also GT Board, but I actually I knew the guy who have the rights to the Gemballa name now, Stefan. That's a German guy, so he's kind of want to take Gemballa further. And I also met Uwe Gemballa's son actually at the Geneva Salon. So
are they still making the car? Because I haven't seen one.
They are making during the Gemballa name, but Uwe Gemballa's son is not affiliated. It's affiliated with another guy called Stefan. But you can get the latest Porsche with Gemballa. I will send you a clip, in fact. They had a big stand at the Geneva Salon for every year.
Wow.
So I've been to the Geneva Salon now before COVID 15 years in a row. So I've seen it every year. So the last 3-4 years, Gemballa had a stand for sure. So
but the problem is that the genius is not there anymore.
Exactly.
I would love to see what he would build right now with all this technology that we have, you know?
Yeah, I mean, crazy what he did back then. And I just saw the interior.
And he was young. He was like late 20s, early 30s when I met him.
Wow. And that was that Rudy who connected you. Rudy met you at the nightclub, and you, wow. And you pay him cash, of course. But it's a sad story that he got killed in South Africa, Uwe. That's nobody knows really what happened there, but
right.
He got,
no.
So that
he was a party boy, though.
Oh, really? You were out partying with Uwe as well?
Oh yeah.
Wow. These stories are just getting better and better.
Good guy, man. Good guy. He was a good guy, and Rudy was a great guy. Oh, Rudy partied with us a lot.
I mean, you put $1 million.
You tell him. If you get a hold of him, you tell, hey, I just met this guy, Jorge Valdes. He's a doctor now, but he said that you sold him the 3 Gemballas that you had in Fort Lauderdale in 1986, I think.
Yeah. I should. Yeah, I'll try to get him, and we should set up a little meet. So that's
we can do a big Zoom. Three.
Yeah, that would be great.
Tell stories, man. Because he can tell you stories about us partying. He can tell you the power that we had.
That's crazy. I want to turn back the time now, kind of, to 85.
No.
But I mean, just because I live it through Miami Vice. I mean, I was a kid when they had Miami Vice on TV. So now I just watch them on DVD, and the music and everything. It's just, I mean, Don Johnson looks the same today, kind of.
Yeah. Well, Don Johnson was at this club, the Mutiny.
Yeah.
And he went to pee right next to me, and he asked me if I had some. And my bodyguard put a gun in his head and said, "Hey," gave some explicit one and says, "You're looking at the real Miami Vice." And then he laughed, and we laughed, and I never met him ever again. He probably won't remember that, because that was 1986.
Wow. And how did you even find those bodyguards? I mean, how do you recruit the bodyguard?
People that I've grown up with, people that I've known.
Okay, yeah. Cubans, you could say.
Somebody.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes now I say how hard it is to grow my social media platform, even though we've only been doing it for a short while.
Yeah.
Because it was so easy for me to recruit people to know that they would die.
Yeah.
You know.
But
we're trying to help the world. We're trying to make it a better world for your daughter, and when you have granddaughters, and people don't cooperate the way that we did in the cartel.
But
you got to live a life that you don't leave room for that to happen.
Exactly.
I watch my witness so much, because I know that the first thing people are going to say, they're not going to say George is a scoundrel. They're going to say, look at that George. He says he's a Christian. That's all bullshit.
Yeah.
You know? So if I stand for something higher, I'm going to watch. Listen, sin was fun. Yeah. If you sinned at the level I sinned, then you could have had a lot of fun. But it had a lot of consequences, and it left me empty. So I'm going to live my life transparent. I don't believe in all this culture that everybody gets offended whenever you say something. I'm never going to speak demeaning to you, but I'm going to tell you what I feel. And if you don't like it, that's your problem.
Yeah, I mean, you're honest, basically.
Exactly.
Honest, yeah.
I'm transparent, man. Like the DEA agent that arrested me. He turned around to another DEA agent after I came back from Panama, 23, beat to death. He said, "You know what? I want you to know this about Jorge Valdes. That kid is a dinosaur. They don't make him like them anymore." No one would have stood all those tortures.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, you didn't rat out on anyone after that.
yeah, I'm 64 now.
Yeah.
Now we live in a world that, you know, is like, listen, like when the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
I have 3 daughters that I adore, and my wife. I want my daughters to be respected.
Yeah.
Man, you know, like when Mike Tyson got charged and went to prison for rape.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if he did or not, but here's what I say: the accuser said that she was a Sunday school teacher, and
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, then what the hell are you doing at 3 o'clock in the morning going to an animal?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think you were going to read Jesus to him?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tell you, at that time, you know what happened? Every time I had sex with anybody, any woman,
yeah.
I had cameras everywhere.
Oh, really?
I can tell you that if I didn't have those cameras, 3 times they would have charged me with rape.
And this was during the 80s then?
Yeah, yeah, because, hey, George, buy me a brand new car or give me $1 million. And listen, I don't put up with blackmail. No, you got to kill me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. Well, I'm going to say, and I mean, if you have sex with a woman, that's what she needs to go and show that there's semen and you're guilty.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, well, before you're going to accuse me, I think you need to look at this video.
Yeah. Wow. So
you can tell the court how bad I abused you there.
I think you had a story about you met a girl kind of between your 2 prison sentences, and you met a girl and you took her. You drove her to your private jet, and then you took the jet to to Las Vegas with her sister as well, or something. And then you wanted a 3rd girl in the same bed or something.
And here's the thing that I tell people about my relationship with God.
Yeah.
So I'm an extremist, like I told you. So when in 1990, when I decided I'm going to become a Christian.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to check it out because I didn't believe. I'm not becoming a Christian. I'm going to check out if this guy called Jesus, who I don't think exists, is really why my friend is happy. Exactly. I'm going to check it out. So I'm going to go all the way out.
Yeah.
So here's a guy that prior to that day, I couldn't go to bed with 1 woman. Yeah. I couldn't have satisfaction. I had to go to bed with 2, 3 women. Oh. So when I made that decision, I stayed celibate for 7 years.
Wow.
If I tell people, if I ever could say I had an addiction, was sex.
Yeah, yeah.
I had sex with 2, 3 different women every day for years. Every day.
And you had the means. I mean, if you're picking up a girl in a private jet, that's kind of a good help as well.
Oh, yeah. So I went to, and I met my wife.
Yeah.
And my wife, who's the most amazing woman in the world, when she met me, she said, when we thought we were going to have a relationship, she said, I am very poor. Yeah. My mother cleans houses for a living. My father's a waiter. I got nothing to give a man but what God's given me. If that's the woman you want, and I'm going to tell you this, Gustav, for 2 years that we were in a relationship celibate, you know what my prayer was? No. I mean, Almighty God, will I be able to be satisfied by just her?
Yeah.
Can Suhei satisfy me when she's never been with a man? She doesn't have that dirtiness, that streetness that all my other women did.
Yeah.
And she's just one. Can I have sex with just one woman? And I'm going to tell you, we've been married now 23 years, together 25, the most amazing relationship in the world. Because we built a relationship not based upon sex. We built a relationship based upon a lot of different things that drove us together. Yeah, and trust and our faith together. She's the holiest woman in the world. I mean, sometimes you don't be mad. I mean,
that's the thing. I mean, prison didn't change you. The thing that changed you was actually God and prison.
Yeah, what changed me was I had this void. You know, I tell people, listen, I had this void inside of me that I couldn't fill. That society told me, hey, if you got these cars, you'll be happy. And, you know, I had the most gorgeous cars in the world. I was miserable. Oh, if you go out with this beautiful woman, I dated the prettiest supermodels. And I was miserable. If you got married, I had everything a man would want at the age of 23.
Yeah, and I can see in your book here, when you came out the second time from prison, you had a party for your mother and daughter when they got baptized or something, and the champagne.
That was the first time. The first time I came out of prison.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. The first time. Yeah. Of course. The second time is now.
Yeah. Well, we did her baptism at Regine's. You know, and It was the number in 19, and that was in 1985. It was the #1 nightclub in the world, right?
Yeah.
They have one in Paris, one in Monaco, one in New York, and one in Miami. That's all they had.
Wow. And yeah, champagne bill was $55,000. And
Because my daughter's name was Crystal, so
Yeah.
I had them serve nothing but Crystal.
Of course. And the most crazy thing, I gave a $1,000 tip to each of the waiter. I mean, that's fine. But to each of the 20 bodyguards who provided security for our party, you had 20 bodyguards.
Well, because they knew. I mean, this was like this, and at this time, Miami was probably the most dangerous city in the world.
Yeah.
There was all kinds of stuff going on. There was cops. There was a group of cops and drug dealers that got together, and they were called the River Cops. You can look that up.
Exactly. I read about it. That's crazy. I've heard about that. Let me find something about that. And I heard from another clip that actually one of your bodyguards were chased by these corrupt police officers, right?
Yeah. The time that Eddie pulled the gun on him. Yeah. Well, and Willie Falcone's mom got taken.
Really?
Yeah.
But she survived, or she was.
Well, they paid. We paid $700,000.